I stand 10 toes on the fact that the only thing worse than having girlfriends who are male-centered is having a mother who is male-centered. I still randomly think about the fact that when I was a kid, I used to call my mother all the time and she would never answer. She wouldn't answer. She wouldn't call back. I used to feel like I was some ugly man stalking my mother. And same thing for my sister. Like, it was not just me. And it got to a point where finally we gave up and we just stopped calling her because she didn't answer. And then one day my dad asked me and my sister if we had called our mom recently, and we both said, no, we don't call that lady because she doesn't answer us. And my dad looked at us like we had 10 heads, and he said, what are you talking about? Every time I call her, she answers immediately, or she calls me right back. Okay. Mind you, according to my mother, my father is this awful, terrible person who abused her. And he actually did do those things. He did do those awful things. But she still to this day answers his phone calls, and she doesn't answer her children. The dickie could get a response out of her on any given day, no matter what it has done to her, but her children cannot.
A mother who centers men over family, like their kids, anything, is actually fucking scary. Like, personally, for me, it does not matter in the relationship. Like, my mom does not believe me. She believes my husband. Every single time. My mother and my husband, they constantly are having conversations, and I never get to know, like, which I shouldn't know all the time, but like, if he's saying something about me, like, I'm your daughter, you should say something to me. But the fact that you never say anything, it's fucking weird and it's scary because you believe him over me.
What's really heartbreaking is I realized my mom made everything about a man, getting a man, finding a man, and that has what's been communicated to me. And when I think about the self-esteem struggles that I've had throughout my entire life, they can all be hinged on this fact that thematically in my life, she made everything about a man. One time I sent her this photo, right, kind of showing her how my hair grew over the past 3 years of having locks. And it was so crazy because she even made that about a man. Like, how do you make my hair growth about a man? Damn. So I'm reading this book called Men Don't Love Women Like You by G.L. Lambert, and he's getting my ass together. And it's crazy how a stranger is telling me about my worth far more than my mother ever had. And that's where I think a lot of us end up getting stuck, is that we're trying to now in our adult years believe, because of authors, because of therapists and life coaches like myself, because our friends are telling us how worthy we are, and we're so confused, we're scratching our heads because we're like, wait, we've never been made out to be special. And a lot of women can resonate with the fact that a lot of our parents made it more so about, you need this to have a man, you need that to have a man, you better cook or a man won't, you better not cut your hair because a man don't. Everything was about a man. And I realized my mother never really made it a point to be like, listen, you are so special, a man better, she never made it clear that a man must come a certain way, which made it so easy for me to just be impressed by any man that would come along, which made it so easy for me to just accept the bare minimum treatment. And I realized this didn't just happen with men, this happened with women too, where, again, there was nothing that ever communicated, hey, you are special. Someone should treat you like this. Someone should do this for you. Someone should come at you with this kind of energy. It was never like that. It was always, hey, you need to make sure you're on point. Which is why a lot of women have a hard time believing they're the prize, which is why a lot of women easily buy into, well, we both can be prizes. Like, no, fuck all that. I don't give a fuck what the fuck I didn't hear growing up. In my 30s, it's such a redemptive season for me because there's so much I didn't understand in my teens, so much I didn't understand in my 20s. But in my 30s, oh, you will be convinced that I was raised by, like, the Queen of England, the way I recognize my importance, the way I understand how I should be treated, and the way I'm not tolerating anything less than what I establish my standards to be. But it's just so crazy. When I think about it, I'm like, dang, there were just certain things that were never communicated to me. No one ever made me feel like I'm so special, someone needs to come like this. The only time I believe my mom ever did a great job of making me feel like I was special is when it came to making money. She was like, you can do anything you want. You can make that money, honey. You are so smart. You are Marsha B. You can become anything. And she only did that because she wanted me to really like follow that whole pre-med train, and I've vented about that enough on other TikToks. But I just think it's so crazy how many parents do this to their children, and more specifically their daughters. And if you can relate to that, I am with you. I am so with you on that. But it is so important you take it upon yourself to do some redemptive, healing, restorative work, to believe in your worth, to believe in what you deserve, and start to like shield yourself and build yourself up to receive nothing less than these new established standards that you should have when it comes to dating. You are the prize. You are the prize, and a man that is willing to put the work in becomes a winner when he earns connection to someone as divine as you. This is what we should have always been hearing. This is what we should have always been hearing, but instead we think less of ourselves because we've always been told, be like this, be like that to get a man. Fuck all that. Fuck all that. You are already all that in a bag of chips. It's just so high time you come to terms with that and start to have standards in your dating life that match that. If you need help and you need to work with a life coach / therapist to help you navigate that, I'm so happy to be on that journey with you. So many of my clients and I are doing this work together to help them live the lives that they've always deserved, regardless of what they've heard from either their mother, their fathers, any other caregivers that they've ever had in their life. It is not too late. Okay, I don't care how old you are, 40, 50, I mean, I care. It is never too late to start to do this work. So I hope this helps somebody out there. If it resonates.
And you know, a lot of people don't talk about the damage that comes from having a male-centered mother. A lot of people don't talk about the damage that comes from having a male-centered mother. Whether you're a boy or whether you're a girl, it does not matter. When you have a male-centered mother, you will find yourself looking for love in all the wrong places because your mother was never able to give you that love. Your mother was too busy chasing men. Your mother was too busy... Can't even talk. I'm infuriated. Your mother was too busy chasing dicks. Your mother was too busy worried about the men in her life as opposed to worrying about and making sure that you felt loved, seen, and valued. Nobody talks about that. You know, and I'm going to speak on, when I say nobody, I mean myself too, because I'm always speaking about men and I'm always speaking about fathers. Let's speak about the mothers. Let's speak about the damage that comes from having a male-centered, self-absorbed mother. Let's speak about it. Because I know too many grown-ass men that were raised by male-centered mothers that ended up horrible men. I know too many grown-ass women that were raised by male-centered mothers that ended up male-centered themselves because they thought to themselves, well, that's how my mother was and that's how I need to be. Well, my mother did this, well, my mother did that, and I loved her and she loved me, but that's how I need to be too. No. Somebody that will stay with a man that's mistreating their children, whether those are his kids or not, that's a male-centered woman. She doesn't value her kids. She doesn't value herself. She doesn't love herself enough to get up and leave a situation that is harmful to her or her children. She's male-centered. Somebody that will go to the ends of the earth and battle everybody around them, their children included, for the men that they're dealing with, is a male-centered woman. She does not value, respect, or love herself or her children enough to stand up and get the fuck on. Somebody that will hold a grudge and stand firm on their boundaries and hold a grudge with their children, but allow a nigga to do any and everything to them, allow a nigga to treat them, is a male-centered bird-ass bitch.
Some mothers are so male-centered that they become dangerous to their daughters. They emotionally elevate their sons and discard their daughters, not out of love, but out of internalized patriarchy so deep that it becomes an identity. They celebrate their sons and dismiss their daughters, not because their daughters are unworthy, but because they see men as safe and women as competition. What they express is patriarchal trauma playing out as emotional abuse. Male-centered mothers lean on their sons emotionally and treat them like partners instead of children. That's emotional incest, which creates entitled men and silenced daughters. These mothers will show their male-centeredness by calling in their sons and male partners to put their daughters in their place when their daughters express emotions, resistance, or autonomy. That's not about correction or discipline. That's about punishment for stepping outside of the role that patriarchy assigned women and girls. To the women and femmes reclaiming themselves, healing from a male-centered mother isn't just personal, it's ancestral. It's the sacred act of breaking generational cycles rooted in patriarchy. It means unlearning the ideology your mothers absorbed so they don't pass through you. It means choosing your voice over silence, your autonomy over approval, and your truth over traditions. Above all, it means remembering that you are not the problem. Patriarchy is, and you are the turning point.
And in this process, a lot of children are harmed, a lot of children are abused, a lot of children are neglected because mama is so focused on a man that she doesn't focus on her children anymore. Anytime you have a man around, your children are neglected. Anytime you have a man around, they're not poured into, they're not taken care of, and they're not given what they deserve because you're so focused and up a man's ass.
What's more dangerous than a man that preys on a woman? Sometimes it's a woman who raises you to believe his love matters more than your life. I'm talking about male-centered mothers. Pick-me mothers. The ones who worship their sons and their man, but raise their daughters like competition. These mothers build their entire identity around being chosen by a man. Their self-worth is tied to whether a man loves them, wants them, or stays with them. And they pass that sickness down. They pour unconditional love into their sons, teaching them they're kings no matter how they act. But their daughters have to earn scraps. Every compliment feels like a competition. Every mistake feels like proof you're not enough. Daughters of the pick-me mother grow up being compared to the mother when she was younger, to the men the mother wants to keep around, to the sons who can do no wrong. She'll call you fast. She'll shame you for your body. She'll accuse you of trying to take her man. And not because you did anything, but because in her eyes, you're competition, not her child. And that kind of jealousy is a form of abuse. It makes daughters feel like intruders in their own home, like they're never safe, even with their own mother. And the dangers of being raised like this runs deep. You grow up believing that women are rivals, not allies. You normalize men being prioritized over your safety. You often shrink yourself to avoid triggering her jealousy. You internalize the idea that your voice, your body, your needs are the problem. And here's the truth. Male-centered mothers don't protect their daughters. They protect men. They protect their sons. They protect their image. But rarely do they protect their girls. I had to break the cycle. My mom died when I was 19. I got to raise myself with the love she couldn't give. I got to choose women as allies, not enemies. Male-centered mothers may have raised us. They will not define us because we are not pick-me's. We are not rivals, and we are not threats. We are daughters, we are women, and we are worthy.
Y'all, I come from a lineage of male-centered women, and it is crazy to witness in real time the beliefs that I am having to really unravel. Is nuts. It's insane. It's crazy. Like, having a male-centered mom means like having a mom who chooses her boyfriends, stuff like that, over you any day is insane. Choosing to support your criminal brother, your mediocre brother, when you are the one who is the curse breaker in the family. Like, it's crazy. It's crazy.
We need to talk about male-centered Christian women, especially in the Black community. And if you don't like it, scroll. I don't care. The way y'all weaponize scripture to excuse abuse and uphold patriarchy is dangerous, not just to other women, but also to y'all. You'll see them quote scriptures like Ephesians 5:22. But they always skip the part that says, husbands, love your wives as Christ loved the church. Jesus died for the church. He didn't manipulate it, he didn't beat it, he didn't gaslight it. But in male-centered Christianity, the Bible becomes a tool. Not for love, not for healing, but for control. And the worst part about it is that it's women doing the policing. You'll see them defending men who have harmed women emotionally, physically, verbally, and, furthermore, all in the name of forgiveness and God's grace, but will say to the victims and victim blame that they're bitter, they're rebellious, or they're lacking faith. And what that is spiritual bypassing. They're avoiding accountability and real-world consequences by hiding behind scripture. That is not godly. That is not holy. That is enabling. Christianity should never cost you your safety, your autonomy, or your discernment. And if your version of faith demands that women suffer in silence to protect a man's ego, that's not faith, that's indoctrination.
Well, I'm coming because I want to let you know that Daryl, he's gonna be moving in next week.
Huh? I mean, you just met him.
Look, okay? I'm the adult in this house, which means I make the decisions. Okay? You'll understand when you get older. Look,
But Mom, like,
you're gonna have to get used to. There's gonna be two people making decisions in this house now, and that's gonna be me and Daryl.
I don't
Okay?
even really know him.
Just to let you know that, and also wanted to let you know when he does move in, you're gonna have to put some clothes on. You can't be walking around here any type of way.
So one of the biggest regrets I have about centering my husband in my marriage, particularly in the beginning, is when our kids were little, we didn't really do a lot of things with my kids because my husband didn't want to. The reason he gave me is that he worked all week, he was stressed out, he needed to relax. And so I didn't want to do things on my own because I was convinced that we needed to do things as a family. And since he didn't want to do it, we didn't do it at all. My husband's in the military, so he does have a very stressful job, and I guess that's why I gave him so much grace in the beginning, because I felt like, yeah, he does work all week. He also supports us. I was a stay-at-home mom all those years, and so I felt like it was asking too much in a way. And, when I talk about doing things, I'm talking about like really basic stuff, like just going to the park or going for a walk, not even big things. And he just didn't want to do it. The viewpoint that my husband had and has is that his free time is his time. And free time to him is on the weekends when he's not working. And he feels like I should be able to do the things that I want to do. And what he wanted to do was like play video games, read books, watch TV, nap, not hang out with the kids, or me for that matter. Moved to California. We went to Disneyland one time, and we went to the beach twice. We lived in Southern California. The beach was like a few miles away. We went twice in 4 years. I really should have done more things with the kids on my own, or maybe connected to a mom friend and did things with her. It's just because I centered my husband and everything so much. I just didn't want to do anything without him. And so I feel like my kids kind of had to pay the price for that. And I feel a lot of guilt about that because I should have realized then what I've realized now, which is that my husband views spending time with his family as a chore, as an obligation, as a source of stress. And he's actually said that to me. He's like, spending time with you and even the kids, that's a job. It's like stressful for me. I guess his thought was, when I really talk with him about it, if it's my choice, I would rather not do it. But if you want me to do it, I'll do it. Which of course puts all the pressure on me, because now I feel like I'm nagging you and pressuring you to do something that you don't really want to do. And like, why would I do that? They're now 14 and 11, and we'll never get that time back. That time when they're little kids and they're so much fun to play with and do things with, we'll never get that time back. And it's all because really I just centered my husband in everything, and I wanted to defer to what he wanted or didn't want. And because of that, my kids missed out. And I feel a lot of guilt about that. And I'm just...
My disdain for misogynistic women runs deep because my mother is one. And this is also why I'm so good at spotting these types of women from a mile away. Male-centered misogynistic women, or as I like to call them, boy girls, should not be overlooked. If you've ever been related or even friends with one, I'm sure even you can attest as to why. Hey, my name is Jasmine, and I was raised by a male-centered misogynist who was raised by a covert narcissist. And before I knew better, here are a few things that I had to learn the hard way. As their daughter, they don't see you as a reflection of them. They see you as competition. I noticed this in a way that my mom would create division between us even when I was a child. She would call my grandmother her mother, and she would call my little sister her child. It was clear that we did not share things, not even family. Me being raised on my dad's side of the family majority of the time didn't help this at all, because yes, my mom's side of the family knew me. They knew who I was, but they didn't know me. They didn't know my character. They didn't know me outside of what my mom told them who I was. Up until I got to high school, she would badmouth me to everyone. She had control of my narrative. I remember she would even tell people that I didn't bathe. You're going around the family telling people that I didn't bathe, but you failed to mention as to why. I didn't bathe at her house. Bathed at everybody else's house. I didn't bathe at her house because she had roaches. Y'all, I'll never forget one time I was brushing my teeth getting ready for school and a roach fell on my shoulder from the ceiling. Bitch, I almost died. Not to mention we had this spider cricket problem. Like these jumping spiders would come out the fucking drain. Listen, it was a reason why I didn't bathe over there. Sorry, call me dirty. But my point is the constant triangulation that she didn't just stop within our household. It went beyond. Like, I can give y'all a story time on when I was picking up my daughter from the daycare that she worked at, and the teacher told me that my mama was up there talking shit about me. She even wanted people at my daughter's school to not like me. For some odd reason, I always posed some sort of a threat to her. Another thing that I learned is because they hate being a woman, they in turn hate you because you are a girl. And I just feel like this is some internalized hate that they have for themselves that they project and pass on to their daughters. Because, for example, my grandmother grew up in a time where women, especially Black, couldn't even get a bank account yet. In a sense, I can see why women, specifically boomers, would hate being a woman, because boomers worked hard. Boomer women worked hard, y'all. And the fact that they couldn't get a house, bank account, and certain things in their name is some bullshit, because a lot of men, I know TV likes to portray that men have been the providers. Women have been the providers. Women have been the backbone of everything. So the fact that they couldn't get things in their name, I can see why they have that internalized hate within themselves. Then my grandma ended up becoming one of those women who always tried to prove that she can do everything that a man can do. And I feel like that internalized hate, she definitely passed down to all of her daughters. And that's why her daughters ended up boy crazy. They all ended up wanting a man to desperately lead their lives because they didn't believe in their own ability to lead their own lives. I genuinely feel like they saw no value in themselves because they were girls, they were women, and unfortunately it just kept passing down. Something else these types of mothers do is strip you of love, confidence, and protection, because they see their self-worth tied to how men see them, not how they care for you. I grew up hearing things like, I gotta have a son so I can experience real love, as if me and my little sister's existence just wasn't enough. I also remember coming on my period in the 4th grade and my mom finding out. She found out because I did not tell her. I remember my mom telling my stepdad, I don't know why he had to know. And then I just remember being in the restroom and hearing him say, well, you need to watch her now. One, what an odd thing to say. So I remember thinking, oh yeah, she's definitely about to say something to him. Nope. Silent. She didn't say shit to that man. I also constantly got picked at for being skinny, having a unibrow, and my head being too big for my body by my mom. To this day, I do not like wearing my ponytail up because I feel like my head's too big. And I know that that comes from that teasing, but honestly, when I think back on it, that wasn't harmless teasing. That was her chipping away at my confidence. It is dangerous to be a daughter of a male-centered woman. Hell, to even be in the same house as them. Thank God that I didn't experience what my cousin had to experience when she was placed in a house with a male-centered woman that subjected her to being raped by her husband. My cousin literally has a child to this day by the man who was essaying her since elementary school. When I speak about misogynists on my page, I want y'all to understand that I am not just talking about men. Misogynists are dangerous. This includes the women. And as dangerous as it is to be their daughters, it's just as dangerous to be their friends.